Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. Welcome to Modeling Success Successfully podcast. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and comment below that you've subscribed so you can automatically enter the monthly shoutout giveaway. For today's podcast, we have a very special guest from Desire the Impossible organization, who's also was born and raised in Reseda, California. And if you guys have watched our podcast, you already know that's close to where I live. So this is a very, very special podcast, actually. So he grew up entrepreneurial minded, started his own multiple companies when he was just 15 years old, 15 years old. At age of 18, he left his companies to pursue growth in the financial industry. His focus is to help families across the country financially and simultaneously build up other leaders. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our special guest, Calvin Lomeli. Calvin, how are you, brother?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you making the time to be here on a Sunday. That says a lot about you. You're a go-getter. You say yes to things that actually make the world a better place. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely, brother.
Dive right into, and I just want to let our viewers know, guys, if you have any questions, any comments that's congruent with the topics we're talking about, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. And if it's something that we're going to talk about, we'll highlight it on the screen. We'll refer to it, and you guys actually can participate too. Simultaneously, I'm going to actually dive right into our podcast because I really want to pick this gentleman's brain. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's got a lot to offer to the world. So I don't want to waste any of his time, and I want to start with this awesome question. Calvin, I'm so curious to know what your story is, and how did you come about mindset and self-development at such a young age, just 19 years old, and you have so many tools under your belt. How did this all start?
So, great question, by the way. It all started, obviously, I was born and raised Reseda, California, and I started thinking, and it all started with wanting to do something big with my life. There was a lot of times where when I was being young, right, being very young, like 8, 9, 10, we're growing up, we want to become, firefighters, police officers, all these careers that are out there, and we're really striving to do that in life.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to do something like that in our lives. But a lot of the times we eventually start really growing up. This is 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. You get into a job and you start getting comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You start forgetting about your goals. You start forgetting about dreams. You forgot about the dream to become a firefighter, a police officer, all these amazing careers that you wanted to do. And you settled down at a job because that's what helped you pay for what you needed to pay for at the time. And you kind of lost the direction for dreams, for the direction for goals. So I didn't want to lose that, because I saw adults that were working at jobs for many years, and I did not want to lose that myself. So what did I do? Then I decided, you know what? How hard can it be to sell a service? How hard can it be to go out there and knock on a couple doors and go ahead and do some lawn care, window cleaning? That's what I did. I walked dogs for a little bit as well. And I focused on helping the community around me. My intention was to help the community. My intention wasn't to become a millionaire. Do I want to become a millionaire? Do I want to become? Absolutely. But my intention was to go out and help people. And in helping people, I was going to get some sort of return, right? Whether it be a thank you, whether it be income, whether it be connections to other people where you can help other people, right? So I focused on doing those type of things. And then from there, I started getting into reading videos. I was that guy that would go on the internet and I would search how to become a millionaire in the next year, how to make, I don't know if you can relate, how to make
totally. I'm loving what I'm hearing so far, by the way.
$100 in an hour. I was that guy because I wanted to figure it out. I didn't want to work at a job for the rest of my life. I didn't want to see my parents struggle. By the way, say it again.
Guilty too with that title search.
It is guilty for a lot of people because we wanted to do something with our lives, but only the people that are hungry that want to do something better do that kind of stuff, right? So I really started searching into that kind of stuff, and I was interested watching YouTube videos. I paid for courses. I did all that stuff, all the stuff that you guys probably have done, well, you've probably done too. Like that's what I did because I wanted something better for myself, something better for my life, something better for people around me. Right. So I did that, and then I got it went well for a bit. I got introduced to. I did college, by the way, for like a year of college.
Uh-huh. What
Dropped out
major?
at 17.
What major?
What major? Business.
Nice. Same over here. Business
Yep.
major, minor in finance.
Business. Same thing for myself as well.
Oh,
Same thing for
okay.
myself as well.
This is a good start.
Yes. Very good. And I was seeking that business was going to be the route for me in college to get to where I wanted to go.
Mhm.
I realized that the best way to become a business owner was to start owning my own business,
That's it.
regardless. And I had to learn. I had to read all these different things. Then I got approached one day uh, to start a new venture in the financial industry.
Hmm.
And I decided to take the opportunity and capitalize on the opportunity to grow my knowledge, grow wealth. And I left my other businesses in the past because I didn't want to become someone that's a jack of all trades but master of none.
Hmm.
I wanted to really learn one specific trade, right? So I got into the financial industry, worked in insurance, which I love, by the way, and able to help people across the country with it. But it was more of whatever I'm in, I just strive for success in whatever I'm in, regardless of how hard it was, regardless of the backlash, regardless of what I had to do. It's just finding success in wherever I'm in and keep pushing and not quitting. Right? It's not a lot of the times people do, and that's what I realized. A lot of times we seek certain things. We look up certain things on Instagram, on YouTube, on Google search of what we can do, right? What meets our qualifications.
Hmm.
But then it's like, if I want to become a millionaire, if I want to become a billionaire, I can't be like categorizing these type of things. I just got to go out and do whatever I'm doing.
Hmm.
And that brought me to the financial industry. I also do some things in marketing, videography, photography as well, and growing that as well as a business. So I'm learning the business owner skills while still being a business owner.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's amazing, Calvin. Thank you so much for such detail-oriented answer, and that actually says a lot about you because, in my experience, and so far I've been proven right with this sentence I'm about to say. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything, and you took this question and you answered it thoroughly. You hit all the corners. You explained wherever corner you hit in detail. I've been taking notes, which I want to refer back to after I finish my thought. And I want to tell you something. I've noticed that the way you're going to mount to big things in life because the way you approach things is more important than knowing things or
Mm,
knowing something. Because if you know a skill but you don't know how to go about monetizing that skill, you're as good as a person who doesn't know the skill, in my opinion. So, but you know how to take the avenues, you know which routes to take. That's why nowadays people are starting to say, and I'm sure you've heard this many times too, you don't invest in companies, you invest in the people that own and run the companies. I'm sure you've heard that sentences before. People, excuse me, my friend is calling from Vegas. We're not going to answer. This is what I don't like Mac computer. It's connected to your phone and we're live. And that was on live TV. Sorry about that. So back to my topic. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And you answered that question in detail. And I want to get back to and break it down and get into a little further down so our viewers can get a real deeper understanding of the points you made, because every single one of them are crucial to achieve any level of success. And I know success is a word that means many different things for many people, but uh, Calvin just gave you guys the pieces to it, and we're gonna dive right into it. First thing is doing big in my life. Not a lot of people have the guts to actually put themselves out there against the unknown and say such thing, not knowing what is going to come out of it. And especially in this world, any action you take, in my experience, is going to have a reaction. Anytime you push, you're going to get a pullback. That's just how it works. And for you to declare personally, and I know things like this happen internally first before you verbalize it outside in the world, because I went through it and I go through it, and I'm going to continue go through the same thing that you're going through, because that's the formula. You need to declare, and you need to have guts to actually put yourself out there, not necessarily having the formula or all the tools to go after it. But once you declare it, now it's you versus you. If you don't get it done, you cannot blame nobody but yourself. The next choice is yours. What are you gonna do? Tell yourself a story that you tried and it didn't work, or do it until it works. That's where the second time around, in my opinion, is where the difference comes between a person who wants it versus a person who needs to have it, who must have it. It's do or die situation. People who really, really want to have whatever it is that they put their mind to, those people are never going to get knocked down and stay down. They will always get up and go after it. So that's why, for you to say you declared a big goal, I applaud you to that. For to our viewers, you need to, don't don't think that everyone, do you know any successful person in your field, they had all the pieces in their hand when they started. Not at all. What happened, in fact, they had the guts and they had enough knowledge to pursue the wherever goal they had set, and they've picked up the knowledge along the way, because the will and the drive only got bigger as they continue diving into the industry or the service they choose to. And you're doing the same thing, and I did the same thing to the industry I got into 7 years ago. I did not know anything about. I was not even a part of it, but I had a big will, and I needed to know if I want to have my own space to live. If I want to have, for example, I wanted a dog, specifically a Doberman. My entire life I wanted a Doberman, and my goal was to have my own space, get a Doberman. And I've been blessed for past 10 years. I've been with a wonderful same a girl. We're actually engaged. We're getting married soon. So
Congratulations, brother.
thank you so much. I appreciate you. So that being said, I set goals to myself too, and I did the same thing. I took the chances, and YouTube was my best friend and still is, because there are so many amazing individuals that give out free knowledge that people go to university for, and I've learned literally how to hire, how to fire, how to deal, how to everything. The questions I ask during the interviews I have are from Harvard Business Study questions, and people, the way they answer is like for example, I'll give you an example. Like, one of the questions I've asked every single person I've interviewed is, tell me something, tell me a mistake you've made in the past, doesn't matter how big and small, and what you've learned from that experience. Now, this question, I don't care what the mistake they've done. Obviously, I care. I hope it's not something that's going to jeopardize the work, but usually it's not like that. So I'm not looking for their answer to what they mistake they did. I'm looking for whether how fast and how humble they're going to be when they admit the mistakes. And then you're going to run across people who have hard time to even accepting mistakes, and they're saying they've never done anything wrong. Now, Calvin, let me ask you, brother, would you work with anyone who can't even accept their own mistake?
Um, it really depends on.
Even if they're wrong and they cannot accept their mistake, it's hard to work with people like that, in my opinion. I think you need to be open-minded enough to understand, if someone knows a better way to get somewhere than what you thought it was, you need to be willing to update the information in your head so you can improve. That's just
Absolutely.
my, you know. So, and we have David Santano in the house. Welcome, brother. How are you, David? Welcome, welcome. David Goggins says he isn't. Highlight David's comment. He's saying, David Goggins says he isn't competing with all others, but with himself daily. Absolutely, absolutely. And I've read this. I'm not sure where I've read this, and I keep saying it. The only competition I have is myself from a week ago. That's about it.
Mm.
Um, Thank you, David, for that. I appreciate you. I want to follow up a little more to your answers, actually, Calvin. When you mentioned, you touched up on another great point. You said at some point in life, it obviously some everyone has their own experiences and everyone has their own history. Some happens at 15, some 16. Let's say from 15 to 22, when real world kicks in, when life really you start feeling what life is like. A lot of times many people lose the focus and sight of their dreams and goals they had a few years ago, and that's
Yeah.
the time where they need to double down and get clear on their um, visions and what they want to focus on, let's say next 5 years or 10 years, to really get to their goals. Do you mention that? And that's such a great point. I've personally gone through and I had to realign and refocus, and thank God I came back 2 times stronger and harder. And in my opinion, in life, it's an ongoing phase. You go through that over and over and over again. You redefine yourself, improve yourself, you become better, so you can be able to go to the next step, because wherever you got you where you are is not going to get you where you're going to be.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So you touching up on that point, being aware of that. Hey, if the real world kicks in, don't lose sight of the goal and the passion that you had. That's something I wanted to highlight for our viewers. That's because that's a golden point you made right there. Another one I wanted to say is, actually, the next one is a question. You mentioned that you've taken courses, multiple courses in the past, in finance, mental development, and financial n- information, so on and so forth. Could you name a few courses that you've taken, maybe our audience can relate to, and if there is anything that stood up to you that if you could possibly share with our viewers, I would highly appreciate it, please.
Absolutely. So, specifically when it comes to courses, I don't remember exactly what I did. I
Hmm.
know a lot of people probably know the person. I believe his name is, oh man, I'm not sure. I don't have it.
Patrick and David,
Patrick McDavid is a phenomenal person, by the way.
that's my guy right there.
Phenomenal person. Phenomenal person. Actually, Patrick McDavid is also CEO of the company that I'm in right now, currently PHP agency in the
People
financial
helping
industry,
people.
people helping people.
Amazing.
So Patrick has been definitely a huge influence. But funny thing is, I didn't know who Patrick was
Mm,
prior to the industry, right? Before I was really involved into learning about, I started, handling stocks, stuff like that. I thought that was going to be my wealth, my road to success. I went around and looked on how to focus on sales and what to sell. I did a lot of, there was one program, I think it was called the Wealth Academy. I don't know who ran it.
sounds
Um,
so familiar.
yeah, it was very familiar. Familiar. It was very popular. It's not as popular as much as it was like 2-3 years ago.
Mhm.
But now into the industry now, definitely Patrick with David Valuetainment, PBD's podcasts have been a big influence in my life. It's been a big
Mhm.
influence in the way I communicate with people. The influence in who I am today. I think Pat has a very distinct and very special mind where he can actually influence not only other people, but personally to himself, where he can make a change within himself.
Mm.
And I think he's just a born leader, right? And I think a lot of the times we look on Instagram, YouTube, and we look for leaders or we look for someone to show us the way, but we don't focus on their history. They just go on there and say, hey, I'm going to show you how to make millions. I'm going to show you how to do something big with your life. I'm going to show you how to get this nice car. I'm going to show you how to make it. But you don't look at the history of somebody's success or how they're going to share knowledge to you.
The source.
I don't know if you've heard Patrick's story before, but coming from Iran, in the military, no matter what, if you're part of the military, despite of where you're at, there has to be some sort of discipline inside of you to
I'm
become.
intimately familiar with Patrick, but David. I'm Armenian also, by the way.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so is Patrick. Patrick's story is very, very, very similar to 99.9% of Armenians in America, anywhere in the world. Just like any other immigrant, everyone has their own unique and very, very hard story, but hey, look at us here. It takes the strong ones persevere. So yeah, and like you said, he was a
Mhm.
born leader. Look at him, he's persevering, and
Yes.
you
Humble.
very, and I respect that, and especially being a family man, that's just a
Yeah.
cherry on top.
Yes.
Yeah, so I respect him dearly myself. Actually, I don't buy gear at all whatsoever. As far as someone else's hats and shirts and this and that, if I'm going to advertise, it'll be my own brand. That's how I think. I don't like wearing some shirts that says Louis Vuitton or something on it. They don't pay me to be a walking billboard. That's just my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
Why do you think that, if you don't mind me asking?
because why would I be a free advertisement for a
Mm,
company? I'm already paying them, supporting them. Why would I advertise it for free? If I want to advertise my brand, I have to pay someone to wear it, but they don't have to. Why? Because they did something right I didn't, which is branding. So if I
mm.
fix the branding situation, I'll have free advertising. That's how I see it.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes to that sort of stuff, I think it's very important to relate value,
Hmm.
right? I speak very highly of Pat, for example, because he portrays a lot of value, right? And the thing is, I don't have to wear a shirt that says, PHP, or have
Hmm.
to wear a shirt that says Valuetainment on it,
Hmm.
because I am a clear example of it, if that makes sense. And you could see
Representation.
right through it, because you could see that there's that hunger for growth, there's that knowledge, there's that you reflect the people you're around. Basically, what I'm trying to say,
I'm
right?
following you.
Absolutely, brother.
That's so true. You're right. You mirror it. You mirror it. Like Warren Buffett says, you're the average of the five people you hang out with. And
And
go ahead, please.
by the way, real quick, I want to be very clear on something. When it comes to like courses versus finding your personal coach and mentor, big difference, right? Because when you're looking for a course, you're looking for a general idea of life, you're looking for a general answer of how you can succeed, versus a coach and mentor that's personal to you, focuses on your personal goals, your personal dreams, and makes a personal plan to how to help you get there. So I think that's very clear. A lot of people should be putting in more time in seeking a mentor or a coach versus being generalized. Because if you're generalized about your life, that's just how your life is going to be. But if you're specific about your life and intentional, that's how your life is going to play out.
Very true. You have to have specific goals in order to get specific results. And the
Mhm.
opposite is true. Very good point. Very good. Hi, David. And we have Cynthia Quiros welcoming us, PBD. Welcome, Cynthia. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, David, also for being here. Appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions or anything you would like to add to the conversation, you guys are welcome to ask it in the chat section. And we're going to actually move forward with the following question that I have for Calvin. Calvin, what is financial freedom stand for to you? Um, and why financial freedom?
Well, I think, why not financial freedom, right?
I like that.
Look, I think financial freedom is a term that's thrown out there a lot. I want to be financially free one day, right? Or people say, I want to become a millionaire one day. Usually, when people say stuff like that, they don't really believe they can become a millionaire. They're not really clear on becoming a millionaire. They just want to be able to use money without worrying about the money, right? Uh, I think the importance of being financially free is really the idea of being able to take care of the people you love first with whatever income you have, and then be able to take care of yourself, right? Because I think that we have a lot of people in life that we want to do a lot of people for, but we can't. And our current income can barely help ourselves. And we like to think that, oh, if I work for another 10 years, if I work for another 20 years, maybe I'll assume to that sort of income. But with that sort of income, you don't even have you can't even allow jealousy in your own life. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean like, oh, I'm going to spend all my money, or I'm going to go buy Louis Vuitton or Gucci and not think about anybody else. What I mean by that is that in life, you have a lot of different goals, right? There's two types of goals that I relate with a lot. It is your emotional goal and the selfish goal,
Mm.
right? A lot of people have that emotional goal to themselves, right? Where they want to do something for their family, right? This is emotional, it's attached to me. I want to bring financial freedom to my mother. I want my mom to seek some sort of financial freedom. Now there's that type of freedom, right? Where you're striving emotionally and it gets to you. And then there's their selfish goal. You know what? One day I'm gonna be financially free. I'm gonna have a yacht one day. I'm gonna have a car one day. I'm gonna be driving a Lambo. I'm gonna be driving a Rolls. That's something selfish to you, right? But I think financial freedom really means the idea that you have as much money as possible that you can use for yourself. You don't worry about money. I wouldn't say as much money. I say you won't worry about money, right? I would say you don't worry about money and you can use that money whenever you need it and you're not worried of constantly like, can I even use that money?
Month to month.
Yeah. Or some people live day to day. And it's sad because a lot of America also lives literally the 9 to 5 bracket to 9 to 5 bracket where people literally like, what time do I go in the next day? It was crazy. I heard a story. I used to work in the restaurant industry. And there was this lady that worked and she worked an extreme amount of hours. I think it was roughly like 50, 60, 70 hours a week. It was insane.
Wow. Double.
Insane. Right? And
Almost
then she
double.
went, yeah, and she was able to take some time off. I believe they gave her a week off. And she surprised her mom with a gift to go to Hawaii. Right? Which is awesome, by the way. You work hard, amazing. But what's going to happen after that trip to Hawaii? It's like you now have to make up all the money you just made plus the money to take care of you. Like how, if you really break that down, how much work you actually have to do extra, and you just want to do, like, you want to serve people, you want to help people. So I think financial freedom also laces to what you're doing. What industry are you in? Right? What like you just got to start your own business if you want to control your financial state. You got to start your own business, you got to control your own income regardless of what it is.
Very good. Very good. Taking control. That's awesome. Calvin, thank you for that detailed answer. Again, I appreciate you. And one thing I wanted to get back to is you mentioned that financial freedom, one of the things stands for you is taking care of your loved ones, taking care of your families, and doing the things for them that in this world ties into directly with finances. And once you're financially free, obviously you're going to be able to do more things that brings more happiness. That's unfortunately tied with income. That's just how the real world is. That right there, I call a driver. Every single leader, entrepreneur, no matter you're a beginner or if even if you're not an entrepreneur, maybe you're going to be in a month, in a year, in 2 years, in 10 years from now, maybe you don't even know if you're going to be an entrepreneur. But one thing for sure is we all have something in common, and it's that driver. What drives us every day to get up early in the morning? Like today, Sunday, it was like what, 7 8 a.m. Me and you were uh, we were connected. That right there already shows you the individuals you're connected with. And believe it or not, energy is invisible, but energy plays a big role in the way life works and the way things just line up and add up and work out. The people you bump into or say things, or one example I can give you: you think of a person and then randomly your phone rings, they're calling you. How weird is that? I'm sure that happened to a lot of people. Has that happened to you?
Absolutely, all the
You
time.
see what I mean? That I directly link that with an energy and being at the same wavelengths as that person, no matter where the distance is. Because at the end of the day, we're all intertwined, interlinked with one another, and if you want to get into more details, we don't technically exist. This is all atoms. It's just a bunch of cells together, just like this desk. Everything is made of the same thing. But going back to the point, which is finding your driver, having that driver to work for, and family, I relate to with that also. My personal driver is being able to not worry about bills, not just for me, not just for but for a year, 10 years. I don't want to
Mhm.
worry about, I don't want my grandkids to worry about bills, because the life is so beautiful. There are so many good things you can do using that finances. You just have to be free enough and be in the right position and have the right mindset so you can do the good stuff.
Yes.
And that would be my driver too, which is very similar to yours. That's awesome. And I wanted to point that out.
And I
Dave, go ahead, please.
wanted to touch on something real quick that you mentioned prior, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Also, I wanted to touch on when you spoke about energy,
Mm.
right? Energy is something that's overlooked by a lot of people, right? And you could believe in it or you don't have to believe in it, but it's there regardless, right? The way you walk into a room, right? The way you have conversations with people. How is your energy when you walk into a room? How is your energy when you sit down with clients? How's your energy when you sit down with business partners? How is that type of energy, right? And not only how is that type of energy, but also it also stems from this factor. You could also be, and in the religious standpoint, right? I personally, I'm a Christian. I personally believe that God created us all specifically in His image to build something massive. That's my personal belief. I think that people that are aligned is very important, and you have to ask yourself the question: who are you aligned with? Who are you aligned to? And why are you aligned to these people or this entity?
Hmm.
So, give you my example. My alignment's with God, and it's very simple. I have a vertical alignment that is pure, that is honest, right? That is truthful, that is without sin. So, my horizontal platform can reflect my vertical, if that makes sense.
It does. It balances.
It seeks out a proper human within myself.
Hmm.
I'm not saying I'm perfect, but there's definitely a strive for being perfect. Now, when it comes to, let's just say you're not religious, right? Which I respect. How do you look at it in that point? Then you look at this. Who do you see in your area that is seeking growth within themselves? Who's trying to become a better person and become correlated to those people? So when you have conversations in the normal field, in the playing field, right? You could see that type of correlation within yourself. And you're like, you know what? Okay, I see that differently than that person.
Hmm.
Or I have a different view on that. But I'm not going to comment on that because I don't want to bring any type of negativity. Right? You bring that energy, you have that positivity in yourself because you're hanging around with positive people. But you have to have people that you're aligned with, books that you're aligned with. And then ask yourself why you align with these books, why you align with positivity. By the way, you should ask yourself, like, how important is positivity? Because you could be positive for a whole year. You could be positive for weeks, for hours. But one negative thought can bring it all down. Isn't that crazy, by the way?
That is. And the
Mhm.
same goes for reputation.
Mm,
You can
yeah.
take 10, 15 years to build a good reputation and one move to ruin it. Same thing. So that's so true. Amazing, amazing, detail oriented answers again. And positivity, a lot of people think is just something that, and you can relate to it too, especially around here. I'm not sure where you're watching this video from, what part of the world, but around here, a lot of people can say, oh, positivity, they relate it to hippies and this and that, and indirectly connecting it with pharmaceuticals and this and that. And they just dismiss the fact. But that's just a lack of understanding, in my opinion. Positivity is the beginning of something, wherever that is, and everything starts from within. And just like you mentioned, having that mindset when you're walking in the room, how you feel. How do you think? How do you what do you think of yourself? How do you want to come off? How do you want to be seen? And in my opinion, I would even take it one step even further. I would say even before you walk into the room, you when you're talking, when we all do this, we talk to within in our heads, we analyze, we strategize, we run scenarios, so on and so forth, before walking into a meeting, for example.
Hmm.
That battle starts within your head before you even walk into a room. So it's very important to know the energy, the perspective, the way you see things when you're talking within yourself in your head also matters as much as the energy and everything when you're walking in the room. Because if you can, in my opinion, if you can be congruent with how you feel inside, what you believe in, how you say what you say, and how you carry out yourself outside, and you do that for over 3 months, I think you're going to be your stress level is going to come down a lot, because you're going to be more balanced within your what you put out there and how you feel inside.
Yeah, don't listen to yourself. Start talking to yourself.
There
That's
you
what I think
go.
you're pushing on to. Yeah.
And Calvin, I wanted to share this also. I forgot the book's name, but in this book, it was such a my like the perspective, the when your what's the perfect word? Your paradigm shift. That
Hmm.
paradigm shift that happens. This book really did it for me, and it was talking about how you can the perspective can create everything. What you tell within yourself is going to whether help your dreams to take wings and fly, or kill your dreams.
Hmm.
So the way you speak yourself. And also in this book it said, the brain you have in between your ears, just because it's your brain, don't think it's your friend or it's for you. And it was explaining how, think of your brain as another person living in you, and it's telling you to do something, but it's not necessarily always the right thing. So you always have to talk and convince and argue and bargain and convince that person, that brain inside you, that you think it's yours, that is not. So once that clarity came in, saying that the brain you have is not really you, think of it as is someone else in there, and you need to talk with it and then agree and on something before you say or do. It really changed my paradigm. I'm like, yeah, because a lot of times you think of something, you do it, then you think about it. I'm like, why the hell did I do that?
That's a good
For
point.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that book did that for me, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Um, we have Vida. Vida, welcome. Bolanos. I hope I pronounced it correct. Calvin, yes, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. David has a comment. Let's read it together, Calvin. I think it's important to point out that you can be financially free but not considered rich if you match your lifestyle to your income. I see. What's your take on that, Calvin?
I think it's important to point out that you can be financially free but not considered rich if you look, see, David, a lot of people strive for a lot of different types of lifestyles. But when you reach a certain level, for someone that's growing, for someone that has a big vision, right? There are and this is the thing, there's the 1%, or no, I wouldn't even say 1%. There's like the 0.1%
Mm.
that says, I'm going to take over the world. Then you have the 10% that's like, I want to have a nice house. I want to be able to have my family free. I want to be able to not have my children struggle like yourself. I don't want that to happen in my life. Right? Then you have the 20, 30, 40%. These people say, I just don't want to worry about bills.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's all I want to do. They're probably not taking action, but they're like, I don't really want to worry about bills. Then you have the rest of the group, right? These are people that are really just comfortable in their area. They're not really striving for a better version of themselves. They're kind of just going with the flow. But I think when it comes to being financially free, it really matters on your vision. Financial freedom reflects your vision, right? Because if you want to take over the world, then money is, yeah, let's just say it's a little important, right? Obviously, it's sarcastic, but it's the truth. Because
It's a means to an end.
you have to be, if you want to do something big in life, like you have to think big, you have to read a lot, you have to be around big thinkers, you got to do a lot of things, and it has to be a lot of everything you do, right? Because
Mhm.
you can't take over the world if you think it's small in certain areas. Yeah, like, I'm gonna take over the world but read one book a year versus reading one book a month, right? Or like even it comes out with the same thing with working out, with development, right? You can say to I want to work out. I'm going to become this person. I'm going to look like this by this time.
Hmm.
And you can, sorry, you can have a goal.
Hmm.
You can be aligned with something. But the problem will be is if you're not consistent, right? Consistency grows over time. That's why it's consistent, right? And with that constant growth, you get to do your dream just constantly improves. I heard something to this morning. I was developing. I was listening to a podcast, and this person talked about when you define yourself, you limit yourself. So don't ever define yourself, but be
Mm.
clear on yourself. You never want to define yourself in that way because think about it. A definition becomes a definition of your dreams, your goals, of where you want to go. But if you're clear, it's very different versus defining. Defining stops at a certain spot. Being clear doesn't stop. Being clear just shows direction of where you're going.
Makes sense. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And that's a great point. Defining is basically having a dead end, having
Mhm.
a wall that doesn't allow you to continue. And clarity is only opening the doors for what's to come. And there's infinite. Absolutely. That was actually amazing. That's a great point that you made. Thank you for that, Kelvin.
Of
And
course.
consistent and
Go ahead. Yeah.
yes, and consistency. Consistency is the key to everything, in my personal opinion. No matter what you do. Simple example: YouTube. Having a YouTube channel,
Mhm.
uploading videos on YouTube is something that you must do on a consistent basis. It's not something that you can do for, let's say, you upload a video a week for a month and then you stop for a couple of months, you start again. That's not going to help you. Every time you start, you're going to start from scratch. You're going to start from square one. So for you go from square one to square two, you stop, then you go backwards, you go from square one again. So there, without consistency you do not have momentum. Without momentum you do not have results that you thought you were going to have. And in order to have consistency is actually going to perfectly tie into our next question. And the next question is about discipline. And in my personal opinion, in order to have consistency you need to have discipline. For Calvin, what does Calvin do to keep himself humble and continue getting knowledge? And what avenues does Calvin use to stay disciplined with the goals that he has, whether it's self education or business endeavors, so on and so forth? What avenues do you take to stay disciplined?
So I'll share that with you. I want to share an example first. I'll share an
Uh huh.
example, then I'll share with you what I personally do.
Hmm.
So Vita, by the way, that just commented, right? A very good friend of myself. I don't know if you've ever heard what 75 Hard is by Andy Frisella. Have you heard of that?
And the Priscilla, my other future mentors at my Let's Best Friend, I have not.
So Andy Frisella started with a program called 75 Hard,
Mm.
right? And I spoke about it on another call yesterday. And Vita decided to make a decision to do this 75 hard plan. And what you had to do, basically, you had to work 2 times a day, work out 2 times a day. You had to eat clean. You got to eat healthy, right? You had to personally develop for 75 days. You had to work. One of the workouts had to be outside. Each workout should be 45 minutes. You had to drink, I believe, a gallon of water. Discipline to the highest extent. A
Hmm.
lot of discipline was involved. But I was really like breaking down the reason behind it, right? And it was an avenue for someone to be different. But before they changed, right, they made a decision to go out there and do something with their lives with cause discipline. I hope this
Hmm.
makes some sense.
It does.
Prior to making the decision, there was discomfort. So
Pain.
discipline in the form of working out, in the form of the physical, the mental state wasn't there. And if it wasn't there, it could have been better. Right. And then there was a decision. The decision led on to more discipline or concrete discipline
Hmm.
that now becomes formulated in yourself. It becomes a habit, right? So I think that's a very clear example on discipline, right? Going from something you dread, something like something in your past that you don't really want to talk, it's something that bothers you, making a decision to shift. When you make a decision to shift, then you build up skills to be able to handle future decisions. And one of the skills was discipline.
Hmm.
So for myself, with my discipline, is I make sure that I know what I want in life. Right? Because
Clarity.
you can be disciplined to say, you know what, I'm going to wake up every single morning at 7 a.m. I'm going to drink a gallon of water every single day. Right? That is small types of discipline. But if you can become disciplined to what you want in life, everything else will fall under. Let me explain how that works. If you wake up every single morning and you're constantly on the idea of, I need to become successful by this age, I need to become a millionaire by 23. Like, I have to do these things regardless. Like, if you you have to. You start becoming disciplined to constantly telling yourself, like, I need to do this. And then everything else under it, all you got to do is ask a simple question to yourself. This simple question will change everything in your life. This question will change everything in your life, and it will bring some sort of clarity. Ask yourself, what I'm doing right now, is it helping me where I want to go in the next 10, 15, 20 years of my life? Because you have to accomplish, you got to plan long term. Because if you plan short term, what's going to happen? You're going to hit something, you're going to be excited, right? And two things are going to happen. You're going to push more, or like most people do, is fall back and be excited and stay in that excited state, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you plan long term, you grow so many skills along the way that you just want to go more. You just want to push for more. You're like, I'll just go for another 20, 30 years. I'll do another 40 years. Like, I want to go more.
It becomes a game.
It becomes a game within yours. And that's the thing. If you plan for long-term advantage, the disadvantage is very, very low. Versus planning for short-term advantage, the disadvantage is that you lose your long-term mentality, because all this time you're thinking about, I want to get this, I want to get this, I want to get this in the next 5 months. In the next 5 months, I need to get this, I need to get this.
Short term.
What's going to happen when you get that? What's going to happen when you hit that goal?
Same mindset, it's still there.
There's no growth. But if you constantly like, oh my gosh, in the next 15 years, I need to be at 3 million subscribers, 8 million subscribers, 50 million subscribers in the next 8 years. I don't know how that works, but in 10 next years, I need to have 50 million subscribers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly thinking 50 million, 50 million, 50 million, instead of 1 million, instead of 200,000, instead of 300,000. So it's a different shift in the game you're playing. So I focus every morning, is what I'm doing, what I'm like eating, all these things, is it going to help my future goal in the next 10, 15 years? Where do I want to be in the next 10, 15 years? And like the thing is with discipline, before you even get and touch discipline,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about clarity. You got to be clear about who you want to be.
That's the word I just put down, by the way. Clarity.
Clarity. That's awesome. Yeah, you have to be clear. And you that's why I talked about finding a mentor and a coach. Because when you're not aligned with leadership, you become clear about stuff that you don't even know. Like, it's some things that are not even important.
Right.
But when you seek a mentor, you seek a coach, and you sit down with them and you say, hey, I need to figure out a game plan. I need to know how to make 6 figures in the next. I really need to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
That mentor, that coach helps you build a clear path, because they're already there. Versus you're just there in a room, you haven't spoken to any mentors, you haven't had a personal relationship with a coach, and you're just, I want to become a millionaire by this time. And you're like, I'm going to do this, and that. Versus someone coaching and be like, hey, Calvin, you what's going to happen here? And you're going to hit that block, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see that there.
Right.
Versus this coach and mentor sees that. So I think it's important to find a coach and mentor first before you even do that. You want to have somebody in your corner, right? Because there's going to be struggles through discipline. Yep. It's not like you're like, oh, I'm disciplined. That's not how it works. So I think you have to have someone in your corner regardless. Everything here that we're talking about, all correlates with having somebody in your corner.
Absolutely, having a
Mhm.
mentor,
Yep.
having a mentor, because there are growing pains, just like building a muscle, just like working out at the gym. You're working out, the next day you're sore. That's because you worked the muscle, you added stress to it. That's why the muscle is going to grow, and you need to be able to, just in case something, uh, um, when you're first starting, you need to have someone to show you how to hit that muscle right. You cannot just
Mhm.
start with a 60-pound dumbbell and try to do a curl. No. So maybe you're gonna get
I mean, you
recommended.
could.
Uh-huh.
You
You
could do
could,
it.
the results, God knows what's going to get you. But the goal is hopefully to keep on improving year after year. And this is not just financially speaking, this is speaking mentally and as a
Mm.
person too,
Yep.
because there are multiple. I personally work on my physically to be healthy, mentally to be growing and in a right state of mind, and financial to match everything, so I can be congruent. Then in order to do that, in my experience, I've been working for myself. We've been talking about this offline for 13 plus years, and in my experience, the only
Great
way to do.
conversation, by the way.
Thank you, brother. Thank
Mhm.
you. And in my opinion, the only way to do that is if you have a fair balance of knowledge and action.
Yep.
If you just have knowledge and you don't have action, you're just gonna mess up that internal dialect, and that self-trust and self-reliance, self-dependence is not gonna get stronger. But when you learn a knowledge and then you go and apply it, and then you see how it becomes part of the world. You see what the real world replied to your whatever plan was. You put the things together, you're like, okay, I kind of can see the future curve before it happens, and it gives you confidence. It gives you the wings that you need to get to the next level, for example.
What
You
does
know?
what does Patrick say? Patrick says
Uh-huh.
a lot of people, they want to do a lot of big things in their life, right? They're like, yes, we're gonna do this, we're gonna change this, we're gonna like we're gonna, and it's like the most ambitious people end up becoming the most laziest people.
Hmm.
He
There
talks
you
about
go.
that a lot,
There you
right?
go.
And
Why is that in your opinion?
because everybody says they want to become a millionaire,
Yep.
and I'll just leave it at that. Because look, and it also relates on like being too highs in the highs, too lows in the lows. And Pat covers that. Why? Because it's very important, again, to be clear, right? Because everybody can say, I want to become a millionaire.
Yeah.
People can say it, they can want it, people can need it, but it doesn't serve your purpose if you're not clear on it.
And taking action upon it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
Clarity. And I relate to that personally too. And another thing I want to share with you and with our awesome viewers is I do this. I've been doing it for a while too, and again, I've picked this information up from a book, so I didn't come up with it.
Mm.
And it's basically, it said every time you sleep and you wake up in the morning, you restart your brain, and your brain can wander at any direction. The first thing your eye can see, or that first email you see, or anything, or the mood you're in. So your brain is going to just pick up information up, grab it, and run with it.
Mhm.
So when you wake up in the morning, understanding your brain is it was asleep, now it's just open, ready to start wherever it comes across. That's why you need to have that. People call it affirmations. Whatever the name you want to call it, you can call it. In my personal opinion, the three things, and you mentioned it in your answers previously too, is if every morning you can get up, you can have an internal dialogue, get clarity on what you want, where you want to be in 5-10 years from now, have focus on that day. Whatever you're going to do is going to help you to get to that point, and the approach to that is consistent. It's just a matter of time for you to achieve it, and you hit all those points too every day. You gotta get clarity. You have to be clear on what you're doing day in and day out.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to point that out too. Calvin, I didn't even get to ask you most of the questions I had, brother. The conversation is so firing and so informational, entertaining that I feel like we're going to need another session sometimes in the future. I feel like what you have to offer to the world definitely has more room to have that type of information to put out in. So thank you for that. And following last question I have for you, and
Go for it.
this I ask to almost all of our guests. It depends, but you specifically, I want to ask, what does modeling success and doing it successfully stands for to you?
Modeling success successfully
Hmm. And doing it successfully,
and doing
yes,
it successfully.
yes.
It's a good it's aligned with itself.
Hmm.
You know, you made it's a good point in becoming successful, but then it's how, like, are you clear again? Successfully, the word successfully, just all it means is being clear on
Hmm.
success
Yep.
and doing success successfully, right? That was the other part,
Hmm.
is again consistency. So
Right
the
on.
way I read that is the word successfully under modeling success, it's clarity. The second part is consistency. But I think it's phenomenal.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. And yes, and it's very similar to what it's meant to be. What it's meant to be is just modeling after someone is not enough. You need to make sure you're modeling it successfully. And the best people that do that is Chinese. They copy everything as far as items go. And that's not,
True.
I'm not throwing any shade. That was not meant with any negativity. That's pure positivity from a business point of view.
That's very true. That's a
Yeah.
very good point.
There's a reason why China is successful at the moment
Hmm.
and supplying the rest of the world is
Yep.
because it's easier to copy someone than stay innovative.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? There's only so many new things you can come up that 8 billion people didn't think of. So that's the one key element I notice what China is doing and it's working. And in my opinion, if a big country can do it, an individual, one person can do it also. Why? Because, for example, if someone wants to open a bakery, for example, a small local business bakery, if you want to get into a bakery business, clearly you're into it. That means you've been to many bakeries before. Why don't you go check out what you like in different bakeries, the way they set up the customer service or the signs or the menus, wherever it is, and model it with your own touch up on it
Hmm.
and create something. If someone is doing something and it's successful, and if you can model that, best believe you're going to be successful too, in
Be
business
innovative.
speaking. So, yeah, exactly. Being innovative, obviously, that's going to be the hardest route. And a lot of people prefer that. I personally always have a bad habit of taking the hard route. But lately, I've understood that. In order to go from level number one to level number two, you need to be able to not let go or stop doing. This is where the confusion was for me, where I got clarity at, and it allowed me. You need to be able to delegate to the right people
Hmm.
so it can get done, so you can move on to it. You need to let go of it. But people think, I personally thought if I let go of what I'm doing right now, it'll go to mess because I thought no one's gonna be able to do as good as me, you know?
Wow, this is interesting.
Yeah. So, but in order for me to go do that, I need to let go of what I'm doing. People think letting go of is losing. It's not losing. You're just delegating to the people, hopefully, who can do it better than you. And that's the difference lies from leaders. They always choose people to do the job they need to do who are better than at it than they are. That's Patrick David's success, which is why, like Pat brought Tom to the Valuetainment. Tom, Tom, that guy is a genius, all brains.
Phenomenal. Isn't he
You know what?
amazing?
I love Tom and Patrick together. I feel like, dude, please talk, please talk. I'm just here listening.
Just
Like,
listening. Let me hear.
they don't waste your time. Just knowledge, experience, one after another, and that's so inspiring and educational.
Man, brother, we have a convention coming up in August. We need to talk about that.
Hey, there you
The
go. There
Patrick
was
Tom should be there. Absolutely.
That's amazing. I was at Patrick's convention over here in Burbank a few years back. He was on actually Instagram Live, and I happened to be there, and I have a
That's
quick
awesome.
video on it. Yeah, so I'm trying to basically connect. As a matter of fact, right now I'm speaking with Pat's sister's husband. He wasn't in town, so I'm trying to have him on our podcast. I know he
That
has a
would
lot
be
to offer too.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy too.
Oh,
So
very.
I feel
Mhm.
like we're linked up. And to be honest with you,
That'd be amazing.
this is between you and I, Calvin. Don't tell anybody.
I
But
won't.
we're on.
David, by
My
the way,
girl. Uh-huh.
David said something. He said, "Who's Pat and Tom?"
Patrick,
We're-
but David and Tom. Go ahead, please.
oh no, I was just gonna say. I think David can wait till he's on there on the podcast. But
There
let's
you
just say
go.
Patrick has been a great influence in our lives. It's also been an influence to the world, the way we look at things.
Mhm.
But again, you can follow Patrick on Instagram as well at Valuetainment on YouTube, and I think you can cover that as well.
Yes, valuetainment, exactly.
But what were you
And
gonna say? I'm curious to know what you were gonna say.
what was the topic?
You said something about just between you and me.
Oh yeah, just between you and me, the conferences Pat's having in these amazing places that people want to vacation at. That's one of my many short goals on a side, so I can do extra good in my business, so I can
Mhm.
be able to afford that and be there and rub elbows with the people that I enjoy listening to on my personal time
I
in
think the
person.
ball is coming up too. On
Yeah,
the
the
ball
vault is
conference. Yep.
exactly, and
Yep.
so that's my short goal, to be so successful in my personal business, so I can be able to position myself around them.
Now, one thing I would say
Hmm.
is if you're not successful to the point where, let's just say, you can't comfortable. Remember, in life, there's sacrifices we have to make,
Hmm.
right? And this is how I look at it. When you're investing into yourself, even if you would say, I don't really have the money right now,
Hmm.
the meetings you attend, the conferences you attend, the books you read, the people you're around make you. And ask yourself, what if this convention, what if this meeting changed the way my podcast runs, the way my businesses run? And because I'm letting this or paper define that, I won't be able to be accessible to that meeting. It's how bad do you want it? It's
Hmm.
not the building the money, having this type of it's not that. It's investing into yourself. It's going to the meetings regardless if it's far away. It's going to the meetings regardless if the rain or shine. It doesn't, if you don't have the income, figure it out. That's what it is.
There you go. That's a driver of itself.
Because those meetings can change your business, they can change your life. Because that's what it did for me. It took one meeting, it took two, three, it only takes one meeting, it only takes one conference for your mind to change, for you to think differently, to execute differently. You won't change overnight. I'm not saying that. But that one meeting can make you realize what you need to change. So in the future, in time, you become a better person, your business is better, your relationships are better, you have better connections with your business partners, just because of one meeting. One meeting can change your life forever. That's basically what I cover. So, brother, I
That's awesome.
challenge that
That's
you
awesome.
attend.
That's awesome. Challenge accepted.
I can't wait.
That's awesome. And Calvin, we're actually we're overtime. We're way past. We were shooting to do about an hour, but the conversation is so good, so firing. I do not personally want to end it. However, I understand we all got lives to attend to, and it is a Sunday at the end of the day. So I want to thank you very much for making this time, brother. It was a pleasure doing a podcast with you. It was a pleasure sharing ideas and vision and goals, and I wish you nothing but the best in the life that you and I are sharing. You know, it's a blessing of
Yes.
throughout the history and everything, look at us, of 8 billion people, we happen to be doing this right now. That's a
Mhm.
blessing of within itself. That's just how I see things. And I want to thank you for actually being able to make this happen, because it takes two to tango. If you weren't able to be on top of your affairs, you wouldn't be able to plan accordingly, and this might have easily not happened. So I want to thank you for being such a stud, and that's a word, Patrick, but David uses, so I'm gonna give
Yes.
the credit to him. I'm not even gonna try to say that's not a word. That's his word, but I like it enough, and I like to use it because it is modeling success successfully at the end of the day.
I
so,
love it. I
so,
love it.
ladies and gentlemen,
Good
if
personal
those
model, by the way.
thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to go in the description section of this podcast. Calvin's direct link to his YouTube channels is over there, to highlight, copy it, paste it in a new tab, subscribe to his channel. I understand there is not much for there to see, but Calvin, is there stuff coming on YouTube?
Yes, there is. There's actually stuff we're
Awesome.
working on right now. But in the meantime, they can follow me on Instagram
Please go
at
ahead.
Calvin Lomeli. You can do that. But there is a lot of stuff coming on YouTube, and I'm super excited to start releasing it. It's already being worked on. We're just gonna go ahead and do the releasing part. But yes, I'm
That's
very excited to
wonderful.
see what.
That's wonderful. So there you go, guys. Even more of a reason to give that encouragement and push that we all need to see day-to-day basis. You know the saying, high tide raises all boats. So if we support one another, help one another out, and like Elon Musk said, instead of throwing baby showers, why don't we throw business showers? If someone's opening a business, go over there. If you're a photographer, if you're a videographer, if you're an editor, if you're a media person, or if you have big pull on Instagram, one picture is going to bring 500 people over there. Help one another out,
Mhm.
because if we're helping one another out, it doesn't matter what level, we all rise together. And that's what this podcast is about. And I appreciate you for being here, Calvin. Anything you want to finish up with?
I think this was an amazing podcast. I think you did a phenomenal job hosting it. One thing I would say is just execute, be clear on what you want to do in life, and just put the action, put the work into do it. There's no reason why you cannot do something with it.
Beautiful, beautiful. There you go, guys. You heard it right there. And I want to thank Vida. I want to thank David. I want to thank Cynthia for making the time to be here. I apologize if we didn't get to all of you guys' questions, but we notice you and we appreciate you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And Calvin, you have a great rest of the day, brother. This is it for the day.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.